Well, good morning, Sunday morning, everybody, and welcome to Chatting with Charles. I have my buddy Smytree, otherwise known as Trev, here with us today. Good morning, Trev. How are
Top
you?
of the day. Happy Sunday fun day.
Nice early one for you after a late show last night, huh?
Yeah, wasn't too bad. Still got enough Z's to keep me going.
Well, let's see who we've got in our chat, and we can welcome everybody in. We have Ryan Hall, who is spending time with Mother, so he's not sure whether he's going to catch us live or whether he's going to have to catch the replay. And R2R3 is feeling replaced. I know you ate one too. Well, hopefully R2's schedule will open up a bit, right?
Yep.
It'd be nice. And welcome in Randy Price. And welcome in Paul McNary. It looks like all the cats this morning.
13 of them.
Yeah. And Sean Hockey is with us. And he says we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Smytree Trev with us. Awesome.
Cheers, Sean.
Good morning to you. And good morning, Josh Tanberg.
How about Josh?
Let's see, we got Ryan Hall talking throughout the chat. Always everybody saying hello to each other. We got Stephen Moshpichelli with us.
Good morning, Munch.
And we got Rob Blackmore official.
RBO.
Gotta love it. And we got Big Wave Dave here with us as well.
Good morning, Dave.
And Pops. Quentin
Right
James himself is in the chat. Welcome in, Quentin. Good morning to you, my friend.
Morning to you.
We got Herb of Fireside Studios. And quickly followed by Ferd Burfel, my neighbor in Northeast Texas. And Wayne McConnell is in the chat with us as well. And R2 is just saying hello to everybody. And we've got your neighbor out there, Hit Metalworks. Hello there, Ken. How are you this morning? That Canadian guy, Ben Coombs, is here with us.
Brother Ben.
Brother Ben McCoombs.
McCoombs.
Yeah, and made that little faux pas Friday night.
Right. Keep it sticks.
And there he is, Ryan OU812 himself. And Marcia Murray is in the chat as well. And Patrick Trites. Welcome in, gentlemen. Welcome in. And I don't know if I caught Randy Price before, but he is here, and welcome in. John Deshane has shown up. Good morning, John. How are you? And we got our buddy Rico B from sunny Arizona. Let's see. And Dennis Ellis is here with us. Good morning, my friend.
Morning,
Looks
guys.
like maybe we don't have band rehearsal today. We need to coordinate one of these days that Dennis doesn't have band rehearsal, because he would be he's a great guest. We've talked about having him on Chatting with Charles before.
Awesome.
And good morning, Lucas. Lucas is up and with us, and it's got to be evening for him, though, I think.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, who else do we have here? Everybody's saying hello to each other. All right, that is it. We have welcomed in everybody. So, Trev, it is the moment. It is the moment for the obligatory first question.
Right.
And so, hopefully, you have been marinating on this for a few weeks. You've been coming on. And so, how does your guitar journey begin? How do you get involved in all this?
Well, I mean, my earliest experiences with guitars would have been acoustic guitars, and that would have been at the family shindigs with my uncles and my grandfather playing acoustic guitars around a campfire kind of thing. But as far as myself being inspired to want to play guitar, probably would have been, in the early teen years, and found a guitar at a garage sale with a little practice amp. I don't even remember what it was. Nothing special, that's for sure. Something like a Simpson Sears brand or whatever. And you try it, and it's cool because you make a lot of noise, but it sounds terrible. and wasn't really committed to spending the time and effort that it take to do it. So ended up sewing that off. And then just kind of idled. I was always more of a consumer of music rather than a creator. Again, my late teens, early 20s, tried to pick up a guitar again. I had a couple buddies that were in bands. Buddy was a drummer, another buddy's a bass player, guitar player. So got myself another Vantage guitar. And again, trying to figure it out. My buddy showing me, do this, do this, do this. So doing the parrot thing where you're just, trying to memorize the patterns. But again, after about a month or two, it's like, this is too hard.
It is the hardest part is that getting started, right?
Yeah. Just being able to put in the hours to get started. So, I was ultimately a consumer of music up until Eddie Van Halen's passing. Always enjoyed guitars, had guitars around and amps, and my daughter was playing stuff, so we had access to it. And when Edward passed, I recommitted myself to the cause. I said, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try this again. And lo and behold, with the help of my YouTube fam and the commitment of actually putting in the time, it's not so hard anymore. I mean, it's still hard, but at least now I can make good sounds rather than all bad sounds, right?
Right.
So that's pretty much my guitar journey up to this point.
Well, so that's been pretty recent. So you really kind of came to it later in life, as I did then.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's fair to say that you play better than I do. And so, what have been the things as a gentleman, learning in your, as an older person learning,
yeah.
What has been the things that have really helped you to gain some success?
Well, again, all the friends in this fabulous community that we have here, but I think also rather than wanting to just be a parrot and learning tab and having people show me how to play a specific thing, I've actually dug in a little bit and started to try to get my head around the whole music theory thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps out. You can start to build a vocabulary rather than just being a parrot.
Right. Yeah. Being able to kind of play around with it and make something your own is one of the things. And a lot of times, as I'm trying to learn a new song, I'll try to do something different with it and kind of take it out and play with it, and so you can have some more fun with it a little bit. And I think on the things that I do that with, I tend to play more and learn better.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And it's addictive, the better you get, the more gratification you get from it, the more you put into it.
And so what was there something in particular about Eddie's passing in particular that made you want to go ahead and try this all again?
Well, I was never a Van Halen nut. Had them in circulation and certainly enjoyed the music, but always had mass respect for Edward as being, one of the top tier guitar players. So I don't know, it just kind of hit me,
They are going back and forth in the chat like you would not believe.
Yeah. It's like,
but yeah, for me it was age, right? I hit 50. You start looking at it. I hit 50 and I sit there and looked and said, look, this is one thing I've always wanted to do. I've played all these other instruments with no problem. And this is the one that was elusive, right? The one that kept getting away, the one that I couldn't learn on my own like I could the other ones. And so I don't know if it was after having played the violin, it seemed a lot more doable because one string instrument to another.
Sure, yeah.
Because everything else before that had been a woodwind other than the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I hit that age and it's like, I don't want to have a regret. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go forward. I'm going to try this. And then, of course, you find the community, right? And like you were talking about, we have all these great guys that are out there to help. And we've both taken a lesson or two from Ben and found the videos on YouTube and been working through stuff. And so it gets you going, right?
for sure.
Yes, Ben. Oh. Uh-oh. Welcome in, Martin. Martin just ordered another guitar kit, but he's not going to be the one to build it. Uh-oh. So more on this later, I hope.
Yeah, stay tuned for more on that.
Okay, it's official. Quentin loves me.
Yeah.
All right. So you began the journey, and so but before that you were wrapped up in the community, weren't you? Or
not really. I mean, my YouTube experience at that point was mostly for tech stuff and video game stuff and some cooking stuff. But with the Edward passing, I think it was Rick Beato that I ended up watching. He did his little live stream on the subject. And from Rick Beato, I started watching Pete Thorne.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Thorne, we saw the Ben Coombs. So that roped me into that, which is kind of really when you start interacting with the community more, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to just sitting there and watching the show and not even really chatting in the chat.
Just everybody saying hello to each other out there.
Greetings.
And so originally, so you start kind of watching everything, right? Yeah. And then you start commenting, and then you get pulled into channels. You are a guy that gets pulled into channels, and so how does that happen for you?
I guess I'm not afraid to be on camera and sit and hang out and talk with folks. So if you send me a link, I'll jump on. That's the way I roll.
So early on, was Ben's the first channel that you made appearances on? Was that where that started?
No, my first on-camera YouTube would have been on Dr. Chill's channel, Will Galvin. He was a guitar builder. The whole concept of building a guitar, it appeals to me. I got all the woodwork and equipment and stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of something that's been put on the back burner, but was part of what brought me into this whole YouTube guitar group. And he was one of those fellows that just put the link in the chat and come on and jump on. And that's kind of how I got my feet wet. Jumped on his show a couple times. He's not really doing much stuff anymore. And then I think from that it was Ben's Halloween in 21. Would that have been? Maybe, yeah. That would have been. And then after that, it popped in. I don't even know how it popped into Lucas and Martin's channel, L&M. But been on that show a few times, and then, of course, really started getting traction after the infamous New Year's Eve of 21 when I was on another fella's channel, and that kind of started being a little bit regular there. But that kind of ended up fading away for better place to be, hanging out with Ben on the Mondays. And I just kind of bumped into OU812 Ryan in the Discord from that formerly other channel. And we hit it off, sitting there hanging out, not broadcasting, just talking shit and comparing notes and stuff. So when he started doing shows on his channel.
So do you have a story of how that whole show got started and you guys sitting around talking about stuff? And
I think it was Ryan and Art too that kind of decided that, you know what, we should just do our own show. And they started up, but I kind of jumped in there right away when the bus started rolling. And then eventually we wrote John Shane. I got him going, and it was Four Amigos for the longest time. But now we have the new edition of R5, Randy Price. Welcome to the team.
Awesome.
So, there'll be more to look forward to from that.
Well, and you've gotten brave in the last year or so, and you've made a number of appearances playing on the show as well.
Every once in a while, yeah. I'm still not at the point in my capabilities to be able to do the improv stuff and round robins. Just hammering out stuff to a backing track. but we're working on it. That's where that music theory comes in handy.
For sure.
What key is this? Okay, well, we can do a G major or C Lydian or all this other stuff. It's like, okay. That way you know where you're supposed to go, right?
So how did you work up yourself to be able to do that? Because we know the level playing that is on the show.
Yeah.
And so did you have to kind of work your nerve up for it, or were you just putting it out there?
A little bit, but I mean, I've always been the guy who's representing the newbie, the learner, the guy who's, trying to figure it out. And, people have really been quite supportive.
And John is saying that Randy's going to be an awesome addition to the show for sure.
For
sure. And Randy is also saying that Trev playing live is highly encouraged.
And people sending in super chats asking for a song, so just do your best and then give it.
For sure, and the chat does come alive when you pick up the guitar and play.
I'm humble.
But it's a lot of fun. Ben says, what does Trev need in his guitar arsenal? Well, we all know the answer to that. But what does Trev thinks he needs in his guitar arsenal?
Well, Ben was saying a chorus pedal.
A chorus pedal? Very good. And so I'm going to ask the question since Ben brought it up.
Yeah.
How's the Telecaster search going? You got secrets from me?
There you go, Charles.
Trev, you've been keeping secrets from me? Oh my, hold on. Let's do this right.
Listen.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And when did this happen, my friend?
I picked it up yesterday. Now, in all fairness, it's a rental. I got it for a week.
All right.
Our local music store along in McQuaid's had a half-price rental day yesterday.
Oh, really? I did not know this was an option.
So for $20, we got to drive this for a week.
And so what time yesterday did you pick this up?
Just before noon.
Just before noon. And so how long has it been in your hands in terms of actual playing time?
I spent about a half hour on it. It is a lot different from what I'm used to, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I would imagine the neck width is got to be a lot different, right?
Yeah, there's a lot less real estate. I think I need a fatter neck because my hand's a little too big. It wraps way over here. But and it's different, with the finished maple fingerboard instead of what I'm used to with the ebony. But my daughter loves it, so it was in her room overnight because it's a rental. I don't want it to be in the room if I'm smoking, right? Don't want to bring it back stung for some kind of de-smelling fee. So not smoking in the room with it here, left it in the daughter's room so we could get it on yesterday. Put a Kaler on it.
In return. So Blackjack, don't get too excited. Right now it's a rental. So
we'll see if we can get along with it. And go from there.
All right, so we know that the neck feels a whole bunch different for you. Yep. But how did you feel about the sound profile?
Wasn't too bad. I'm digging that neck pickup space. Now, of course, you're all like, why plug it into a JCM 900? I did, but it's on a clean channel and the gains rolled off pretty far. And I mean, I definitely getting on with the tones of it. But again, a lot different from what's usually in my wheelhouse.
Yep. And Lucas is saying if you do decide to get a telly, get one that's got a 50s neck profile. They're a little bit fatter. They've got a fatter neck to them. So we've got it from now till next Friday. So what are the plans?
Taking it back Saturday, before end of day. Next Saturday, it's got to go back.
Okay.
Just try to get along with it. Spend some more time with it.
All right. Well, we want to hear some things. We want to know some things. I say you do a whole video series about your relationship with the telly as you work your way through. Yeah. At least for your close friends.
We'll pin that on the board, but you can follow along today on our OU812 show and Thursday.
Well, Ryan is contributing. The plan should be to play it on the show today.
We'll see. Could happen.
Oh, you've been instructed. There will be a guitar lesson this week,
right? Because can a fella play Slayer on a telly? I suppose he could. We'll find out.
And Mr. Mick is asking if we'll be hearing it later today.
Yeah, probably. Pretty good chance of that this afternoon.
Okay, so now I have to decide whether I can forgive you for setting me up like that.
Well, there was one other person involved in the plan. I'm sure you can imagine who.
Oh yeah. We'll have a conversation.
It just seemed like a really cool idea because I knew somehow that subject to telly was going to come up during our chat today.
Well, yeah, you know I was going to ask at some point.
Just to be able to have that to pull out was definitely worth it. Ben,
it was funny because with the lights off, I was thinking there's a guitar back there I don't recognize him having, and I was kind of thinking maybe.
Well, and I kept trying to make sure that I was sitting in front of it.
Yeah, because you kept having your chair, and I couldn't get a good look, right? But Ben is saying nothing. A fella shouldn't play Slayer on anything. Excuse me.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. All right, we're gonna have to put this back in the park now. And get back to our.
Oh, okay. I see. Ben is dishing out some stuff now. He says the plan came from Charles not hanging with us Friday night.
Right.
Yeah, there's been things going on. All right, well, so what else? So this whole thing was orchestrated going back to the question of what does Trev need in his guitar arsenal? Wow, you got some mean people. All right. So what are your kind of plans going forward with guitar? What are you hoping to achieve?
I'll just keep spending time in the saddle and getting better and better. I'd like to be able to get to a point where I can run some basic improv over the backing track with the boys on the show.
Yeah.
So in the way of learning and playing, yeah. As far as new gear, aside from a T-shaped object, I don't really have the gas. I'm content with what I've got. I've got enough toys to play with and do what I need to do.
Yeah, you've never been one to sit there and be. You haven't been one in the time period that I've known you anyway to be acquiring a whole bunch of gear, right?
Right.
You've always seemed to be pretty satisfied with what you have.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe a chorus pedal. Ben was talking about that last night.
Mm-hmm.
A chorus pedal. That's what your next pedal should be. So we'll maybe do that. If the T-shaped object decides to stick around, I guess we'd have to get some kind of a Princeton or something for that.
Well, it would be a tragedy if the T-shaped object did not stay around. I'm just saying. So, in that vein, Ryan is asking, what is your practice routine?
I don't really have a routine so much. I usually start warming up just playing my major scale up and down, and playing the riffs that I know, trying to learn new riffs sometimes, thanks to Quentin James. I've been working on the Scorpions song, The Zoo,
Oh,
the last week. So, trying to play the stuff that I know better and try to learn a new thing or two here and there.
yeah, excellent.
But yeah, there'll have to be a whole new repertoire. A lot of the stuff I'm playing ain't even going to work on that.
So,
chicken picking.
Why don't you give us one of your best YouTube stories? Maybe something that's happened behind the scenes on one of the shows, or
oh, geez. Usually by the time shows are over, I'm feeling pretty good. Right, exactly. YouTube stuff. I mean, there's been so many hangs after shows and just offline hangs, festivities. Like the New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really stands out as being. It was all good times.
Right.
Ryan gets me.
Why do I get a feeling there's an NDA over at the OU812 channel?
Oh, it's all good fun.
Yeah, let's see. So Blackjack Guitar saying Under the Bus comes to mind in that vein. Maybe some stories out of that.
We did do that cross stream that one time. It was fun.
So, Nelly, I'm live. No, I'm live. Thank you. Oh, there are pictures? Uh-oh.
Some screen captions. Yeah, I guess that's maybe the big highlights are the whiskey weekends with my good friend John.
Uh-huh.
We definitely have some fun there. Good food, good drink, good people.
So what has all this all this interaction with the larger YouTube guitar community, what has that kind of meant for you and your life and how you've been working through things?
Well, I mean, it really has kind of filled the void of needing to go out to hang out with folks, because now you can hang out with good friends, but you don't have to just from the comfort of your own desk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's cool to be able to hang out with folks from all over the world, Austria, all over North America, and develop these relationships and these friendships with people, all from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, for sure. You can reach that wider group. You can certainly widen your circle of friends and your opportunities to learn things. And I know that's been a great thing for me in terms of my journey as well.
Right.
Let's see. What is Gear Junkie 35 saying here?
I haven't been paying any attention to the chat aside from what you're putting.
Well, Gear Junkie says the gear community provides friends for those of us who don't do well with people in person. Like minds don't see each other, each other as weirdos, right? Yeah. So we all have that thing that ties us together, and we can all talk about guitars and pedals and amps and all those things together. Oh, Randy says he hasn't signed an NDA yet.
It's just if you be in your opening package.
Oh, this is interesting. This is a very interesting idea, Trev. We have to do a virtual whiskey weekend with Martin and Trev.
Yeah, we do. That'd be a hoot. That gives us a reason to drink all day, right? Because we're drinking in different time zones.
Yeah, Martin is totally in on that. Totally in on that. And R2, R3 Locking Nut is reporting in that he barely made it up the stairs last night. Oh. Let's see. Ben Coons, that's why I have burner accounts. Oh my.
Yeah.
So is there a show that you've been wanting to be on that you haven't been on yet?
Well, this was the elusive time slot here. Coming and being on this show. Glad I finally got out here to do that. Not really. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where most of my free time is occupied. I don't have much time to do anything else these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of the thing that I'm running into. Time demands are changing for me right now.
Yeah,
and so finding the time to do all these things is something else. Now, I remember when you were in the old Tone Shack,
right?
You had this piece of wood, and there was a plan for this piece of wood to go ahead and to build a guitar out of it.
Right.
So have we gone any further in the planning and the thinking about this thing?
It's kind of on hold now. We put a pin in that. I don't think I'm going to put in all the effort it's going to take to get the wood shop set up here, because this is a short term.
Okay.
We are only in here for a year, maybe a little bit more, but not much more, because this house is slated for demolition and development in this area. So, yeah, that's probably going to be on hold for a bit until I can get somewhere where we get everything all set back up, as far as band saws and table saws and planers and all that stuff.
All right. So what were you hoping to build out of this, though? What style guitar were we thinking?
Well, right. I'm very fond of the explorer-shaped objects. But there's those who say when you're building your first guitar, you should build something traditional and simpler. A T-shaped object, or just a straight up bolt-on Strat kind of thing, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy a kit, like our good friend Martin, and use that as a jumping off point. Just put together a kit and see how that goes. And then maybe I felt I could use a V.
There you go. I can see you rocking a V.
Right. I've always been a fan of the dime bag guitars too. Get a nice Razorback or pointy objects.
Well, Sean Hockey's got an interesting question for you. He wants to know if you do you have any plans on playing with a drummer in a band situation, perhaps?
No plans for that. I'm open to just about anything, but I don't really know anybody around here for jamming out with. I mean, the closest we get is our whiskey weekend, or just getting together on the YouTubes.
So John is chiming in and says the correct answer is OU812 is the only channel you want to be on, Trev.
No, I'm a whore. I like to spread the love.
Yes, but they're very protective of you. They want to hold on to you.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh, let's see. Oh, Paulie Walnuts is in the chat. Welcome in.
Hi, Paulie.
Okay, Quentin James. Quentin says his birthday is on March 3rd. Here's his address. Oh, too much. Let's see. Looking to see if we got any. Quentin says, "I love that he's been able to meet so many cool players from around the world. Yes, even Henning Pauling." Okay. And then Ben's chiming in that you're still an awesome producer on Mondays. You are in demand for sure.
Yeah, it's nice to be loved.
Oh, does anyone have questions for Trev? All right, Lucas. Lucas has got to run out. He's got to run. You have a good day, buddy. Thank you for stopping in.
See.
All right, Trev. So tell us a story. Tell us something about you that maybe we don't know.
I don't know. I've been pretty open after a couple of drinks on these shows. I don't know. Kind of a random thing there, Charles.
Well, yeah, random is good.
Something you don't know. Well, I think you all know what I do for my real job, right? Fixing beverage equipment, particularly coffee and espresso machines. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much that I haven't already shared with everybody.
All right, well, we'll get you off the hook there. Mr. Mick says, does Trev plan a trip to a NAMM show, maybe with the whole U12 crew?
I'm definitely open to the idea. There's no solid plan in place, but I mean that would be a hoot to go down, and especially if we could do some kind of a meetup or a group thing where we got some of us from the community all in the same place in person to be able to tear it up a bit.
For sure.
Yeah, that's right up my alley.
And Ryan is asking for some advice for how you maintain that ZZ Top beard. He may be thinking about going longer.
Right. You just let it go. That's the secret. You don't fuck with it. Just let it go.
I love this. I love this business. I asked the show a question earlier, and the show went off the rails. I'll stay quiet. And Terry's kicking in that you could always get a Flying V kit from Precision Guitar Kits. They're in BC.
Yeah. That could be fun.
And, of course, Martin is saying that him and Lucas appreciate you chiming in on their live streams every now and then. And they demand the right to have you on every now and then.
Totally grandfathered in there.
Pointed right at Ryan there. Pointed right at Ryan for sure.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy hanging out with those fellas.
So, Octopus Ears is saying Indicta or Stavia?
Indica or Stativa? Why not both? Right? Stativa for breakfast, Indica for supper. Typically, I lean towards Indica, but I'm not really a fan of the floral taste of the Stativas. But I'll smoke anything.
In the end, that comes down to it, right?
Yeah.
Rob's got a real good question here. As far as riffs go, where do you look for influences for the riffs you like to play?
Well, I mean, it goes back to the stuff you liked back in the day. That's only, Judas Priest and AC/DC, Metallica and Slayer and stuff like that. But, there's some influence there as to trying to grow, I guess, and go in other directions, i.e. playing the Tears for Fears riff that Ben likes to play. And it's a good exercise for timing and stuff. So I like to play stuff that's not too hard, but it sounds good. Turn it up. Big old riff. Big riff energy.
Well, and as you've been going, so we're talking about that, playing those riffs that aren't necessarily familiar to you with the Tears for Fears things, right?
Yeah.
What would have been some of the bigger struggles that you've had in learning to play guitar?
I guess it's consistency. It's the rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
being able to just play the same thing on time for extended periods of time rather than just going on little 30-second bursts or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually being able to be able to play the whole song kind of thing. A caffeine dispenser technician, correct.
I love that. And hello, Bruce.
Hey,
Bruce has been in the chat for a while, but he's been on his phone and not been able to tag back, and so he's letting folks know in case they hadn't seen that before. But so glad Bruce is here. Let's see. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The cooking segments.
Right.
So, what's the latest? Any new inventions from the kitchen?
No, pretty much stick with all the tried and true. Yeah, that was on a different program though.
All right.
There's
Okay, this is a good one too. What's your favorite concert you've gone to?
I've always been active in going to see concerts, but the one that stands out above all others was the 1992 Pantera at the Commodore Ballroom, which is one of the smaller venues here in Vancouver. I think it's like 1,500 people maybe. And that was an epic night because it was really, in a small club. The stage is right there. It's only maybe a couple feet up off of the floor, so it was like being at a big party with Pantera playing rather than being at a concert, right? It was so good.
I had this memory of early on with you, of you being on a show and we're talking about something and you're holding up the concert ticket.
Right. I've got a bag full of my old concert stuff. But yeah, I've been to almost every Slayer show. Seen Metallica more times than I can count. But 94. Pink Floyd. That was an awesome concert. It was on June 25th, my birthday. 94 was a good year otherwise. That was an epic show.
Excellent. So how did you get down that road of really being more into the metal genre than anything else?
Well, that was right around 83, 84. In the peer group, we were all listening to AC/DCs and Judas Priests and Iron Maidens and stuff, and the Van Halens, But then one of my buddies went on a trip with the family to California, and he came back with these Metallica tapes. And after that, I was like, oh boy, I like this. Signed me up. And that was it. Just kept going down the metal path ever since.
Yeah, and that's always an interesting conversation in terms of when does metal really begin, right?
Yeah.
What really classifies as metal, and what was really the first group to go that way? And
Black Sabbath, some would say.
I'm sorry?
Black Sabbath, some would say.
Mm-hmm.
The grandfathers there, they were really the ones. But then, that's not really compared to the thrash metal or whatever, more modern metal. I mean, yeah, it's heavy and it's loud and, it's got a lot of groove to it. But, it's just part of that whole evolution.
Well, and you get that whole change from like the 80s hair metal into,
Right.
in going into that more thrasher metal kind of thing.
Yeah. And then the Pantera with the groove metal and then. But I've never been, one of those guys that's just all metal all the time. I enjoy lots of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
More contemporary realm of music. But that's the real key is variety, spice of life.
Of course, but within metal, do you have a favorite? Is it? Are you really that Slayer guy, or is there someone that you hold closer as a favorite?
I mean, if I could only have one, it would probably be Pantera.
Okay.
As far as the impact. I mean, back in 92, 93, 94, we would go up to my buddy's brother's place, his cabin up in Squamish every weekend, make the drive. And it was like almost like religion. Watching the Pantera Vulgar video. He had all the VHS tapes of Simpsons episodes, and just be basically a whiskey weekend kind of situation. And then that was the soundtrack to a lot of good times.
So Maj said he saw the Pink Floyd in '94, best sound at any concert that he's ever been to.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And Dave saw the Stones in Moscow, front row.
That's interesting. That'd be a good
That sounds like a story.
Right? What are you doing in Moscow?
Yeah, I know. It opens up a bunch of questions, doesn't it? And so I think we've already gotten there, Sean. In this probably question, your favorite band. And so you were thinking Pantera, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's if I could have just the only one, the Desert Island thing, I guess. But I enjoy Judas Priest. You know, if I'm going on a long drive for work, I've got the little stick, and I'll put in Judas Priest discography, or Iron Maiden, or AC/DC, Van Halen, all those things. You can. I'm the kind of fellow that likes the old-fashioned way of listening to the whole album, rather than just a la carte and picking a whole bunch of songs off a playlist. That old mixtape. You know, there's a time and a place for the mixtape, but I'm more of a you just put on the album. What album you want to listen to?
And I always kind of wondered if I'm like that, because I'm that way too. And I always wondered if I like that because I've been such a big Pink Floyd fan, and you get that whole idea of the concept album, how one song leads into another. You know, and in some bands, their albums are like that, right? In some bands, it's just random from one cut to another, right? And but yeah, I think I think people that are of our age are more likely to sit down and listen to an album from beginning to an end and hunt around for different tracks.
Not a big fan of dropping the needle, right? And that goes back to the way we consumed our music back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The auto reverse came on for the cassette. It was perfect. Now we don't even have to flip the tape. You just put it in
over. Yeah. Yeah, love that when that came out. Did you ever use 8 tracks?
I'm aware of them. There was some in the cars back when I was a kid, but it's not that I ever owned any 8 tracks or had a personal vehicle with an 8-track in it.
Yeah. There you go. I have had 8 tracks in cars.
Yeah.
In the car and an 8-track in my room. I remember having that. Hey, Mitch Hammond. Hello there. How are you?
Hi, Mitch.
And Bonkers has made his way in as well. Welcome in.
Good morning.
And Steve Rezer says, when Slayer and Pantera come on, it hits you in the chest. It's awesome. So
it just makes you want to move. You know, it ignites a little bit of fire.
And Ben is going back to Big Wave Dave's comment about the Stones in Moscow. Now he's got some real questions for the next Buffalo meeting. Sure.
All right.
And Quentin James says he saw Katie Lang when John 5 was her guitar player.
Interesting.
And Herb is chiming in with he's gotta love metal.
Gotta love metal.
And Riff, hello there, Riff. Hello to all the good people here today, and to Trev. Trev, what hard rock bands from nowadays era are you listening to?
Not much. Not much. I really couldn't say. I mean, even if I think new bands, I'm stuck back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I think I'm like that as well. I mean, where's kind of your cutoff as to where you kind of stop listening to newer stuff?
It's probably the late 90s.
Yeah.
Now there was a time when I had the new work van that came with the Sirius XM radio, and I spent a lot of time listening to all these Boneyard and Liquid Metal and all that. And there was a lot of good new stuff there, which was one of the nicer things about it. But nothing ever really stuck. Does Machi count? Remember the last CD I bought was a Commuity CD.
It was the funny thing was there was a local band here that I think was the last CD that I bought, but their music was like completely old style, right? You know, it's so anything. You're right. Anything past the 90s, I don't really listen to, and the stuff I still listen to most is I would say 60s and 70s, in going into the 80s. Let's see, and we got some folks. Yep. Let's see. So there's a conversation between Herb of Fireside Studios going back and forth with Martin Illingham Guitar Corner because they were talking about playing that Eye of the Tiger riff.
Okay.
So Trev, what are your plans for the week? What do you got going on this week?
Just get through the week, trying to do work, and outside of work, try to play guitar and eat some good food and hang out with good people. We got tomorrow night hanging out with Ben. Tuesday, Wednesday, you never know what'll happen. Thursday nights we got our Trans Tram Thursday, which is always a good time.
Mm-hmm. And you've got a good Sunday show coming up here, you guys.
Yeah, coming up today, our community jam, which is getting more and more popular. It's really a cool concept, right? Just to have the open mic night, if you will, in this YouTube setting.
And I am dropping the link for that into the chat. For those that don't know.
Thank you.
Because that is promising to go ahead and please, Brian, be careful you don't get copyright playing Kismachi. But yeah, so here's the link for the OU812 Crew Channel show later today, and of course, if that hasn't been enough guitar for you for one day, make sure that you go over and you check out Ben's show tonight because Ben has Michael Torin on, and here's the link for Ben's show. And coming up here in about 7 minutes or so is Music Therapy Laz. And he is doing a music therapy show on color, light, sound, and music, their fascinating connection. So we'll drop the link in for that as well. And Ben is giving us a kind of little bit of update. Him and Michael will be talking a lot about rack gear tonight.
Right on.
And so that should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a whole bunch about rack gear myself. How about you, Trev?
Well, a little bit. I mean, for the most part, it's just a different chassis for the same stuff. And you just get to mount it all in a nice rack, right? And keep all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. It's cool. It's cool. You get some pretty fancy stuff going on. Like OU812 Ryan's little rack there with all his wet, dry, wet, and Van Halen. Goodness.
And Bacher says he has a rack mount Furman in an 11 rack.
Cool.
I think Herb's using an 11 rack as well.
Cool stuff in there.
And so Sean Hockey is asking if you're interested in the MGK razor blade guitar.
No, stupid. If you want a razor blade guitar, get a dime bag Razorback.
There you go. Yeah, that guitar does seem to be all gimmick, right? It's like it doesn't look practical to play. It doesn't even look attractive. It's like I don't know.
That's stupid.
It's like what can you do to be different, kind of thing.
Stupid does.
And Herb is updating us with he likes rack gear.
Deny.
Okay, Quentin, here's the deal. We are going to do the restring on the 12 string. We have bought materials to do it to make it a little bit nicer, but the restring is waiting on the unboxing video of those materials. And so it is coming. It will be there. There's some prep work to do. We will actually, and we will be doing it as a live thing. You'll see how many of you people stay with us for the 24 hours it's going to take me to do it.
It's going to be a marathon. Make sure you bring a sandwich, some snacks.
Yeah. Bring the sandwich, so basically, I've kind of got it slated out this way, Trev. Mm-hmm. I figured I would be on restringing, right? And I would invite people like you and Ben and Seth on to ridicule me while I do it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'd probably be there more for support, Charles. I would in a time of need like that.
Okay, so Quentin's got the first bet down on it. He says I poke a finger. And Monch wants to know what kind of strings we're putting on it. Well, Monch, we have a set of where are they? Right here. D'Addario Phosphor Bronze. And of course, that is that 12 string is a Sigma 12 string acoustic. So,
right on. So
it should be fun when we finally get to it. And Sadie Lamp Duo is checking in. Well, hello there. And they had a pretty good video. They did a song, The Whipping Post, Allman Brothers Whipping Post.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of cool because he plays guitar and his wife plays harmonica.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Interesting kind of setup there. All right, Trev, with that, is there any parting words you'd like to say before we head on out today?
No, I love y'all. Keep rocking, man. Just keep playing.
And Trev, I really appreciate you coming on. I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Happy to be here. Glad you had me.
It's been a great show. We'll have to do it again.
For sure.
Maybe we get a bunch of us together and do the whole community thing. I think that'd be a nice, great one to do.
For sure.
All right. And Ryan is telling us all that we should live long and prosper. Ben is saying that we had a great show. And Randy Price agrees, and so does Fred. So with all that, I encourage you all to slide on over to Music Therapy Laz. Check out his show today. And we're going to go ahead and take you on out with our theme song written by Ben Combs and recorded at River Drive Studios. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks, and we'll see you later on in the week.
Cheers.
Cheers.